And so we have a long association going from Cornwall Street, Berkeley Street, Fulton Street, Mulberry Street, Fire Street. We always live within a mile radius. So I have a real stake in this area. And I want to retire and I want to die in this area. I don't want to be going to some new estate or some place outward. That's why I bought my house 16 years ago, because I wanted to be sure that I was going to stay on in Liverpool Area. And there are a lot of people like me who want to stay here. Not that we like living in a slummy situation, and that's not caused by the people who live here. Neglect by the corporation, housing association with their houses. That sort of slummy look is caused by them. It's not caused by the people who live in the houses. The fact is, I think it was Jesse Jackson who said, some people may live in the slums, it doesn't mean the slums lives in them. We don't see ourselves as having a slum mentality or a slum intellect. So that's my credential. My other credential is that I've been chair of a housing association. I was chair of the first black housing association in the country in London for 5 years. That's Eugenia. So I got some understanding and knowledge of the way the housing association movement works. I actually met people like Sir George Young. I helped to raise funds with our housing association and helped to establish the Black Housing Association movement. What you have to realise now is that councils can no longer build houses. The government's giving all the money to housing associations. And housing associations may protest, but the fact is they all want to be big housing associations. They all want to have the largest possible number of units so they can have the greatest amount of power. You know, and I believe partly the knocking down of Granby is partly to get hold of property as much as anything else. Now, I'm not saying that's the plan for you two, but I think that's what the plan is for your £70,000 a year chief executive and for the housing corporation. Because that's the sort of money these people are getting. Chief executives, 50, 60, 70,000 pounds a year. That's why they don't have to worry about where they live. They can buy what they like, they can build their own house. So I know a bit about the housing association movement, and I think that the housing association movement or the housing associations should not be involved in a survey which they've got such a vested interest in terms of gaining more property and gaining land. If they really want us to have confidence in what they're doing, they should be arranging for somebody that we all jointly agree should do it. And as John said, let's get together and ask the right questions. And that's being done in other areas. So again, that's another credential I've got. I just want to remind you about MIH that says it has no money to do what we would like in the area, like renovate. MIH has bought Runcorn, a whole town. Am I right? Well, part of Runcorn. And it was in the Echo this week that they're going to renovate over 1,000 kitchens, and they're spending £3 million on Houghton. They're buying more and more property because that's what they want. They want the properties. They want the units. Why couldn't they have kept that not bought? Why could they have not bought Runcorn and spent the money on Granby? The fact is there's no shortage of money. They want the properties. They want the units. Why couldn't they have kept that not bought? Why could they have not bought Runcorn and spent the money on Granby? The fact is there's no shortage of money. You need to know that. It's just that people want to do different things with the money. The same amount of money was there. That was there 20 years ago. So we need to sort of also understand that sort of thing, okay? So they've had £3 million.
Excuse me, if people are speaking, whether it's support or opposition, please can we let them finish?
Okay, so those just about my own personal background. I watched a programme last night called The New Jerusalem. Some of you may have seen this on television. And it showed you people in Kirby, people in Newman, Manchester, going through the same process that we're going through. Building up and then the destruction of the areas which they live, and then the building up again. And as one woman said there, they're building us nice houses, but people are unemployed and they can't afford to go anywhere. Going through the same process that we're going through. Building up and then the destruction of the areas which they live, and then the building up again. And as one woman said there, they're building us nice houses, but people are unemployed and they can't afford to go anywhere, so they stay indoors. They can't even afford to have the wonderful central heating on, so they stay indoors. They have difficulties going out. The few successes that we saw were success situations where people took control themselves of what they wanted to happen. And that's what I've been exploring, talking to them. People took control themselves of what they wanted to happen. And that's what I've been exploring, talking to them, the contacts I have in the housing world around the country. And I think the thing's got to be we want to do it for ourselves. We want to not conserve, but regenerate Granby in a way that fits in with the needs of the great majority of the people here who want to stay. And as has already been said, there's no reason why people who want to move cannot move. We would help, we'd make sure they were rehoused. We would use our muscle to help people to be rehoused if they want to. My view is a lot of people would like to stay as long as they know the area is going to be improved and made distant. I listened to these women last night talking when they were talking about rehousing, and they said what we decided to do is we went around the housing associations and talked to them and we decided to go out and find out which housing association will deliver the goods that we want, and then we did a deal with them. And they got built in parts of Kirby the sort of estate that suited them and their families and their children. So what we need to go for is regeneration, and the points that Kennedy was making are important in terms of his example of what can do. But in Liverpool, Birmingham, Manchester, London, all over the country, in terms of the housing situation, a lot of people are taking control of making decisions about the way they're fed up with their houses being replanned over their heads continually, and they want to take control themselves. Not from a position of weakness, but from a position of strength. So what we want to move in the direction of, over the next few months, because we're looking to get some resources, we've been promised some funding from some local bodies, is start talking to people about what you would like to see happening in the Granby area, asking the right questions. Not saying, do you want or do you not don't want demolition. That's no choice for anybody. You know, you need to start from the point of view of what do you want? What would you most like to happen? There's Housing Action Trust, there's Housing Development Trust, there's charitable bodies. We can set up ourselves as a company where everybody can become a shareholder, and going from there, we can actually then start getting funds. We can get funds from the Housing Corporation, the Department of the Environment, the City Council, the housing associations themselves, who we could be prepared to negotiate with where we need their help and expertise, and we would want their help and expertise. Let's not kid ourselves. National Council of Voluntary Services, local development agencies and other trusts. There's millions of pounds of resources. And some of those resources could be used not only to renovate the property and make the area an area that everybody will want to live in Liverpool, but it could also provide jobs, provide training. Somebody's just mentioned, Paul mentioned about EEC money, European money. Now I work at an organisation that actually tells people about European funding and how to get it. Over the next 6 years, there are £600 million available for Merseyside. And we can get some of that money to provide jobs and training so people can get the skills to renovate the area themselves, to renovate their houses. There's no reason at all why some of those houses, the housing associations can no longer cope with, whatever that may be, cannot be sold or handed over to a trust like ours. So we will see to the renovation. You know, you were saying, Tracy, that the quality of the renovations you did many years ago were not to a high standard. Well, I think a lot of people in the area knew that anyway. I moved into my house 15 years ago and I put a roof on which has never leaked. I've never had an improvement grant. So, you know, there's always been a question mark over the quality of the repairs and the maintenance and that of housing associations. So all we will say is that, you know, the fact is the thing can be done differently. So what we want to say to you is that there are possibilities in terms of the resources that are available now for national and local agencies for us taking over and developing the area ourselves to suit ourselves. There's lots of ideas come from people in the meetings over the weeks we've been coming here. People want the post office open because if the post office is open, people will get their pensions, they'll spend the money in Granby Street, the shops are having to close. We want a greater variety of shops. When I was a child, Granby Street actually had an antique shop. Can you believe that? So much of the prospect, as well as lots of other shops. It was shops from Princes Avenue right up to Upper Parliament Street. There was every shop was selling goods. Excuse me, please. Okay, just finish, and then you can add. We could have a market in Granby Street every Saturday. That would bring people into the area, because the European community will give you money that will help to bring people into the community. We could have a whole lot of things that would help to restore the area, give people pride in it, give people a say in it, and give them control over what is going on in it. We're talking, though, about partnership of equals, not a partnership where the housing association said, well, we've got the money so we can do as we like. We're talking about, and that's why we want to set up our own trust, and invite the housing associations to be part of that work, and invite representation from all the interest in the area, tenants, shopkeepers, homeowners, and other major agencies, the churches and other groups, who also played a very important role often in providing facilities which the council and housing associations have failed to provide. For example, we have a lot of young children in this area, and there is no proper play centre for the children in this area. It's not surprising we have some toilets. None of that is built into the plans of the housing association. We have no proper community centre in this area for the whole community. A place where we can all meet and go together and have activities. There's a whole lot of basic amenities lacking. Plans of the housing association. We have no proper community centre in this area for the whole community. A place where we can all meet and go together and have activities. There's a whole lot of basic amenities lacking. And if people can do it on Broadwater Farm, and they took control, and they're now a Housing Action Trust, and they've had a lot of money from government, like people in Kirby, like people down Park Road who set up cooperatives, we can do it here. So what we'd like to know is that we have the support of everyone, tenants and householders alike, for setting up our own housing action trust, whatever we choose to call it eventually.
No playing field for the kids to play in.
Right, I know just for a moment, we'll carry on in a few minutes. I know one or two people have got to leave because they've got commitments at other meetings, so anyone who's got to go now, just briefly slip out.
All right, thanks. See you, thanks for coming. Right, Mo.
Referring to what Mr. Hamilton said about these areas, I have been here for such a long time, and I understand what he's talking about. They built houses with gardens, they pulled those houses down. They had houses in Marmaduke Street, they done the same. In Warwick Street, a lot of people were railroaded from this area, and they were moved into Netherley, into some type of houses, which since they pulled them all down again. If you walk around along Tunnel Road, you will see 3-story blocks there, all just about ready to be demolished. And they're standing there, eyesores. Now Granby's got a few eyesores, or the most of the eyesores are what the Housing Trust created. But there's less eyesores in this area than you can find in a lot of other areas around the place. So I don't know why really, okay. Acceptably that some houses got to be done, etc., etc. About streams on the ground. They're going to demolish certain houses and build back houses on those streams again. Are they going to drain those streams or what?
But they're not caring about houses, they're caring about money.
Streams blown up, let's get it down again.
Thanks, Jim.
Before we move on, can I just generally get a view as to what people generally think about setting up some sort of development trust in order to go? Because basically the doorway it's only ajar, but it's open. When I spoke to Max Steinberg on Friday, he was definitely...
Going in a flood.
Well,
that door is open, it's flooded.
Right, well, his opinion is that there has to be some sort of working partnership, and that seems to be the opinion of most of the people.
The safety crew is there, you represent us, we're behind you, 100%.
Right, can I get a
Show of hands.
The show of hands for setting up a housing trust in the area. A development trust for everybody to be part of. Right, so unanimous.
Don't let anybody else come in there and join that chair because they see you getting somewhere. That's what we're doing. As soon as they see you getting somewhere, they want to push you out. But they're not on. They're not on at all.
If anybody's got any questions for the panel, then fire away.
All I want is the rubbish moving, please, if you can do anything.
Right, well, we'll try and do something about that.
Please, thank you very much.
I want
I want is the rubbish moving, please, if you can do anything.
Right, well, we'll try and do something about that.
Please, thank you very much.
I want them not to demolish the houses.
I think can I just say that in our ongoing meetings, while we're getting things moving, it could be very useful for us to invite certain key people from the council, like the head of the Department of the Environment in this council. We want them here to tell us why they allow the rubbish to lie on the street. That's the person who's responsible for rubbish collecting, for cleaning out rats and mice and all that. I think we should invite people like that here to find out why they're not doing the job. We pay the highest community charge in the country in this city, over £600 a year. And we're entitled to the best service, and we're going to have to fight them all the way for it now.
Yeah, I'd like to know from the agents from the housing trusts if they've got a price for their new build plan and a price for the rehabilitation of all the houses, including down to Eversley Street. How could you answer this?
No, we haven't got a price for doing it because I don't want to harp on the things that we've discussed many times before, but there are no actual plans yet to build new houses or rehab houses. That was just one way of looking at it. I know people think that the secret plans are funding all being cost and so on, but they haven't. We operate in an economic climate dictated by central government policy, and as you'll know from your own experience, that has shifted the emphasis centrally away from new improvement to new building because of the way they've manipulated the grant rate. So that's the starting point that we're from now. You're quite right to say that an active group of people campaigning to people like Max Steinberg, the DOE, and up beyond the Minister could perhaps get those things changed, but and the associations are all lobbying to do it. But no, we haven't costed anything out and said this is what it will cost us. We did work out on the computer what out-turn rents would be based on the current grant rate for improving property as opposed to building new. The model gave a disparity of rents of something like £40 a unit between a rehab house and a new build house, and that's purely to do with the way the grant rate operates.
Can you, Andy, then offer any information based on, obviously you haven't costed the price of building the new houses, but Steinberg has already come out with the wonderful figure that he hasn't got the money to do anything north of Beaconsfield Street. Can you clarify in any way then how it is that he hasn't actually costed this whole thing out? How he knows he hasn't got the money for north of Beaconsfield Street?
Well, I can't speak for Max Steinberg. I'm not a development person, I'm a local housing manager, but I think what I would guess what he was trying to say was this, that if you look at how grants are paid and the amount of money that has to be borrowed against the grant for the development, and adding things like VAT and other on costs which are done at risk by the developing association, then it gives you high out-turn rents. So I think what he's saying is not that the money couldn't be used for rehab, because the money's there, and I suppose you can do anything with it if you bite the bullet and make the decision. It's the variable other end, the high out-turn rent that would cause as an economic rent. Now there's another issue there, because we touched on rents before. As you know, as we've discussed before, 50% of the tenants in Granby, just over, are secure tenants with a right to a fair rent. And so the economic cost of improving property isn't so much about to be completely frank, about the rent that a person would have to pay, for instance, a secure tenant. It's about the economic cost of providing that improved house, if you see what I mean. Is that clear?
Yeah, but there are ways around that.
But there are ways
Because
around
you can
it.
set up trusts where people work cooperatively to do a great deal of that work.
Yeah, no,
So you then cut out this business of having to increase rent.
But the one point I would make on your part of the talk, which is you start off by talking about the associations expanding, and I wouldn't argue with you about associations developing more and growing and increasing their asset base. But earlier on you'd mentioned, which is also true, that you'd be providing less unity and not more, so the associations will be likely to lose units.
Yeah, but exclusively owned by the associations. I own only properties, and you go ahead, you get rid of 125 owner-occupiers and use own every property that's rebuilt.
I mean, Paul, you speak to Max Doward more than I do and stuff, but my understanding was that this package included new build for owner occupation. I know there's all problems with it, but...
Yeah, but where do we get mortgages from? Who wants to pay a mortgage
it
now?
wasn't just about building for rent.
I think the point that
You don't want to rent?
the point that I was trying to make, Andy, was that basically, in order to say that it's not possible to refurbish them, you must be going on the council survey that was done sometime last year. Well, that council survey, although it's never been made public, every now and again somebody bandies a figure about and tells us that in order to refurbish my property, we're talking about something like 47,000. Well, nobody in this room believes that that's real.
That's a lie. You can get a brand new one and buy a brand new one for that.
But some of us who've improved our houses knows it doesn't cost 47,000.
Doesn't cost that.
You know, I mean, you're talking about your labour cost in the way that we, you know.
But those figures are all they're based on acquisition costs, development plans, the full improvement, the VAT, the grant rate basis. I mean, I don't know these figures. I haven't been produced figures that say 47,000. That's not my job or my expertise. Development plans, the full improvement, the VAT, the grant rate basis. I mean, I don't know these figures. I haven't been produced figures that say 47,000. That's not my job or my expertise.
I'm just an interested observer, if you like, but I think your question may be answered by them. Is it not, I think you have actually mentioned it, that the way the Housing Corporation funds housing associations, and the money for the Housing Corporation is government money, but they want to encourage a lot of new build across the country, because when you're building a new building, you've got a fresh set of plans, a fresh piece of land, and you've costed it, and at the end of the day, you know that it is likely to cost that budget figure plus or minus 5–10%. But if you're refurbishing an existing building, you might take down the ceiling and find, oh no, that's £10,000 worth of dry rot. You can't do that. So they just don't like the idea of refurbishment, because it's a big unknown. And therefore they're funding the Housing Corporation, who are funding the housing associations, and encouraging them to do as much new build as possible. So I don't know Max Steinberg, I wish I did, because I'm gonna...
So you don't wish to
yes, I know. But I think that the reason why...
Please, we have a bit of order, please. The gentleman hasn't got a house and he's an architect and he's here for all of our benefits.
Yeah, okay.
So let's give him some respect,
Go on,
please.
give him some respect.
So I don't know Max Steinberg, but if he gave you a figure of 47,000, maybe he's got that from somewhere, but it may just be that he knows that because of the job that he has, because of the organization that he works in, he knows that it will be easier for his organization and the housing associations to build new buildings. That is, I may be right and may be wrong, but that may explain why they've gone along the track of proposing new buildings.
Yeah, but we see, we know the theory of that, but the other thing is, they set standards which are actually ridiculous. In fact, somebody did cost-wise. It costed out getting an improvement round. was actually cost them more, because this was an architect who was going for an improvement. It cost him more to do his house up, because he was asked to do things that were totally unnecessary in his house, than it would. And he cancelled half the Granby end, doing the house up himself. If the housing corporation or the council were to give me 5,000, I could do a hell of a lot of work on my house for that 5,000. But if they came into my house under an improvement grant, they'd want to gut it, remove any old plaster, and they'd probably cost themselves 30,000. And it isn't needed. They're ridiculous. And I think this is why, with a sort of trust we'd like to have, we could actually do deals with people who would say, you know, having generally assured ourselves that the roof's okay and the wiring's okay and the house is safe, we give people some money who are either in private tenancies or on that, and towards doing the basic things they want doing. And the house next door to me was gutted and stripped. It's owned by, I think, LHT, because I had rows with them for ages because it was flooding my house while it was empty for 5 years. And I know the previous owner. But the interesting thing, when I went in that house, it was horrible. You'd stripped out all the grates, you'd moved all the character of the house, it just had radiators in the corner, no fireplaces. You know, that's what improvement's about. No wonder, you know, you can keep it, but the fact is, it's costing far more than it needs to cost. And this is why I think if we took control, we could organise the cost in a way that wouldn't be so high as you're estimating for the cost of doing our houses. But the other thing you've got to remember, these houses have stood 100 years or more. And the houses you're building are not going to stand for 100 years. We've seen some of them falling down already. And that, in long term, is going to be more costly. But the last thing I'd like to say, this city is trying to become the European architectural city of the year. And we think working class houses have got as much value as architectural gems as any of the buildings in the centre of the city. And we should be arguing on that basis. Be more costly. But the last thing I'd like to say, this city is trying to become the European architectural city of the year. And we think working class houses have got as much value as architectural gems as any of the buildings in the centre of the city. And we should be arguing on that basis that we want money to bring our houses up so they look pretty and the And we should be arguing on that basis that we want money to bring our houses up so they look pretty and the areas look nice and tourists will want to come and look at them because we've restored these older houses and kept their nice architectural features. And these are issues too which the housing association should be dealing with, not just building little boxes.
Can I bring this lady in here who's been trying to speak for a long time now?
Just a couple of points. One of the first points is actually about Liverpool's policy and the Housing Association's policy about equality of opportunity. I mean, the Granby Triangle is one of the richest areas when it comes to multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnic population. It has a history, as Dorothy says, some of these houses have stood for 100 years. If you move the self-same house to a nice area in Woolton or London, it's worth 40 or 50,000 pounds. Because it's in Granby Street, because of the way this area is being talked about and run down, deliberately, I think, quite deliberately, I mean, it's been used as a dumping ground for God knows what, and I don't mean the people because I don't think people are dumped here. I think an awful lot of people choose to live here and they want to live here. I'm one of the people that chose to live here. I bought a house in Granby Street quite deliberately because it was cheaper than renting anything that I've ever rented from LHT or Merseyside Improved Housing. It's a good house. I got it 5 years ago. It was £7 grand. The mortgage is £47 a month. I can't get anything equal to that anywhere else that's so nice. But I think, bearing in mind that all of these people have equal opportunity statements that talk about equality of people and equality of chances, why are they deliberately trying to decant this area and destroy a community where black and white and mixed race people and Chinese people and Polish people and all sorts of people live side by side, where people can live in the same street, you know, and own a house next door to people who rent a house I mean, mostly, you know, areas that are done up by housing associations or by the council, it's all rented, and then, you know, you have an area that's all bought. I mean, there's all sorts of people living here next door to each other here, you know, and there's so much talent, so much joy and so much love and support in this community, and it just appears to me that the council and the housing associations, hand in hand, are hell-bent to destroy this community. There is not another community like it in Great Britain, and we should not let it go. And it's an it's an architectural tale. There's some absolutely beautiful buildings. And I mean, at one point they wanted to knock down Arthur Prince's Road. They knocked down houses in Upper Parliament Street and then spent a small fortune building up precisely exactly what they knocked down, and then stuck a bloody plaque on it saying it had been standing since the 1800s. You know, are they going to do the same thing here? It's sick. And I think that under no circumstances, whether we rent, whether we buy, whether we moved here because there was nowhere else to go, or whether we chose to live here, that under no circumstances should we let this go forward. I think that what this gentleman said makes a great deal of sense, and I think what everybody at this table said makes a great deal of sense, and that we actually need to join together and make it into the community that it's desperate to be. If only housing associations would lay off, and the council would lay off, and they would actually look towards their bloody equal opportunities policies that I wouldn't like me arsehole to carry on the way that they're doing. Thank you.
How often do you hear a mugging go on in the Granby Triangle? It's so bad. How long have you heard of a killing go on? It's so good. It's so bad. Pensioners don't get mugged, no killings, nothing. And it's so bad. All the killings is going in all these areas where they put up. All these areas where they put up killings, you get mugging, you get into the lot. And here it's supposed to be so bad, you never get one of that. Have you hear somebody get mugged in the Granby Triangle? Yeah. When? Who? You? You?
All right. Can I just take this opportunity to thank everyone for attending this evening? I'll just take this opportunity to thank everyone for attending this evening. I know there's a number of people here that haven't been here previously. We have got a collection tin over here for those people that want to make donations. And there will be a meeting here next Wednesday at 7:30 next Wednesday.
Upstairs.
Oh, in the upstairs room. And thanks again for coming. And bring your neighbours.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Just said there's a form to sign if anybody hasn't
Just a form to say that you actually attended this meeting.
And can you sign your name and address it? Because that helps us to know who to contact.
Leo from Banksmead. Leo.
Don't forget the money in the
Leo from Banksmead. Leo.
Don't forget the money in the